Okay, Belinda Carlisle, pleasure
Good.
to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
You've had a long and varied career. Did you always know that music was going to be the road for you? Is it right?
No, in fact, it's funny, up until probably maybe 15 years ago, I thought, is this what I'm really meant to be doing in life? You know, it seemed very strange that this is actually a profession. Only in the past really 10 years I thought, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, obviously, because I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
But I never thought in the beginning that would have lasted so long. I've been doing it, which is scarily enough, for like 38 years.
It's incredibly long when you think back.
Yeah, 37 years, not 38.
Yeah, but still, so I mean, you must know that that is your profession.
That's-
But what else would you do if you had to change tomorrow, for example?
Well, I always had an eye for design, so maybe something to do with design. But you know, and also the thing is I remember ever since I was a little girl, the only thing I ever wanted to do was travel the world and see the world. So I thought maybe I'll be a travel agent. But then I decided being in a rock band was probably a much more fun way to see the world.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's 25 years since Heaven is a Place on Earth, in 1987. What does that sort of bring to mind?
Well, it was pretty exciting for me because for the first time up to that point, you know, I only really had success in America, marginal success in like Australia and Japan with the Go-Go's, and making that album, I actually had a proper record company for the first time in Europe and the rest of the world, and with a song like Heaven, I knew that I actually had a good chance, if everything else was in order, because it's not just about the song, that it's okay.
No, superb.
Can you edit this?
I'll be fine.
Thank you.
Really sorry.
But I thought that I mean, it really felt like I had a good chance to have success outside of North America. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was it. And you know, when the first time I heard that song, I heard it on the piano, and I just thought, oh my God, this is an amazing song. And if I ever had a chance to have a #1 song, that was it.
Yeah, it certainly was. So the Ed Cell albums are all being remastered. They're extra mixes, interviews, sleeve notes, videos. You know, real collector's items. How closely have you been involved in that whole process of packaging the whole final product?
More than I usually am. As far as remixes, I don't really understand remixes, to be perfectly honest, because it's like a whole other genre that I'm not. I mean, it's been sort of on the periphery of my career, but I don't really understand it that much. So I just let it. I sort of hand that over to people who know. But as far as the track listing,
One decaf coffee? No, just the cappuccino. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Nice.
As far as the track listing, I was very involved with it.
And the new single "Sun," how did that? Where's the inspiration for that song?
Well, I mean, I had no real desire to do anything new, you know, because I thought, especially with English-speaking pop, my last album was all in French, and I had a lot of fun with that, and I never want to work any other way again. I have to be totally inspired, and it has to be from the heart, otherwise I'm not interested. So I really didn't think that, you know, I've done amazing pop in my life, and it would have to be something that was on par with my earlier hits in order for me to do it. I'm just not going to do it just for the sake of doing it. So, but I always thought, and nothing good is ever going to come along that I like, because I'm so fussy. And then my son, who has always been all over me about doing a proper pop album, his friend wrote this song, and he said, "Mom, you have to hear this." And okay, here we go. So I put it on. Oh my God, it's so good. It needed some lyrical changes, so I called my bandmate, because I'm still working with the Go-Go's all the time. Jane Whelan and the Fix It woman, and she came in and she fixed the lyrics, and we collaborated in the lyrics a bit to make it something reflecting where I'm at in my life and also age appropriate, which is 54. It's important.
Yeah, no, superb. Does this mean that is there going to be an album of original material coming up in the future? Next year,
Well,
maybe?
it's funny, since then I've had a couple amazing songs float my way, and I recorded another song when I was in LA a few weeks ago, and it's on par with Sun. So, and then I've gotten other songs where I've sung the demos on where it's like, it's good, but it doesn't, it doesn't really excite me. So I don't know about doing an album because I like the way I like to work, it has to be, I don't know. I just don't know about an album because it's time consuming. It takes a good 2 years out of my life. I don't know whether I want to give that up. And it would take me probably 10 years to find the songs that I like. So I don't know. I won't say, I can never say never.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what about on the live front then? Just heard there, thinking about possibly Russian live dates, was that? Or was
Yeah,
that
but I work all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I work all the time. I work as little or as much as I want. And I'm really, really lucky that I have such an amazing body of work that I can still go out and do shows on,
Yeah, absolutely.
From actually, for the first time in 30 years, I took a good solid 4 months off before I'm here talking to you, because I just felt I needed to do that because of all the traveling and years and wear and tear, and I needed to sort a lot of health issues out. So I took the time off, and that was the first time ever in 30 years. So that shows you, I work all the time. And from now, which is, we're in May, until mid-December, I'm pretty much living out of my suitcase.
Yeah, there you must.
Which
be
I
used
love.
to it,
I complain about it, but I love it too.
Yeah. I mean, you've worked with many sort of musical icons along the way: George Harrison, Brian Wilson, Brian Eno. Any other sort of memories that sort of stand out?
Did you mention George Harrison?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I think the one memory that really stands out was probably, growing up in Southern California, the Beach Boys are just a part of they're part of me on a cellular level. And the first album I ever got was Pet Sounds when I was 9 years old, or 10 years old. So for me, working with Brian through the years, and I worked with him a few times on his albums and on my album, and I think my experience with him has always been surreal and amazing, nothing short of amazing. I didn't get to work with George Harrison in the studio. He sent in his parts, so I wasn't there. But with Brian, I worked with him a few times in the studio, and that's pretty amazing.
Is he a musical genius?
Well, totally, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I was actually a little bit concerned because when he came in, and I had always sang backgrounds on his stuff, and he's always come to go-go shows, through the years, and he's a big fan. So, but when I asked him to come sing on California, and he did a whole big vocal arrangement, and since he has a problem with hearing, he sings over, like, he had his parts on just a little cassette recorder, and he was singing over it, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds so bad. And what are we going to do? And the producer's like, tell Brian Wilson that it's not going to work. Anyway, we had no idea, what to do, what to say, except to get on with it and let him do what he thought should be done. And then when he got into the vocal booth and started layering his vocals, it was like, oh my God, now I get it. Now I understand. And it was like what I would think on par with, like, probably a Mozart or somebody, because he's like seriously from another planet musically.
Yeah.
So it all worked, thank God.
Yeah.
In the end, it all worked.
But the Go-Go's were sort of loved by fans and critics alike. What did you have that was so awe-inspiring?
Well, still, I mean, we're bigger than ever in the
Yeah,
States.
that's true.
So, I don't know. I think people kind of get. I mean, we never took ourselves seriously at all. And even from the beginning, it was all about having a girls' club, and it was about boys and boyfriends and getting boys. It's all about boys. I think they kind of see it's totally authentic, and there's no pretensions, and we've always been 100% true to ourselves. And people see that, and the music's really good. And I mean, we've been together for so long now. It's like they're family. So it's when in families you get tensions, good and bad.
Yeah.
And I think that probably those tensions make the band work live. And it really is it's without tooting my horn too much, it's an amazing live show. I mean, we've always kicked butt on most of the male bands we've played with. And it's just totally authentic, and people feel that, I think. In a world that lacks authenticity, people do see that when it comes along. It's like,
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, and being an all-girl band back then, you certainly led the way for women in music.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you look up to yourself?
When I was in high school, I probably Debbie Harry. I wanted to be Debbie Harry. I think I always say go back to Iggy Pop, who was basically, that was like when California radio, which I grew up with, which used to be amazing in the 60s and early 70s, started going in the way of, with all due respect, like to the Eagles and like the Doobie Brothers, which I appreciate now. But then I was like, no, this is not, and I didn't know that there was any alternative. And then I walked into a record store when they had them, and there was an album cover of Raw Power, and I went, oh my God, what is this? So I knew that there was an alternative. And through that album, started discovering like the Velvet Underground and Nico and Roxy Music, and then that led to the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the whole thing that was going on in London in like '76 and '77. So so it goes back to all the punk stuff, I think.
Yeah, and you've inspired a whole generation of musicians. Who do you listen to these days?
I listen to a lot of world music. I don't listen to pop music. I don't find it that interesting anymore. I know that sounds really snobby, but I don't. And I mean, there's some that's really good, like Adele, and I do like Beyonce, and I think I like looking at her more than her music. But I listen to a lot of world music, a lot of opera. Actually, I always go back to Neil Diamond, my Neil Diamond best of. My taste is pretty eclectic. I just started appreciating Miles Davis, which I never ever did, and all of a sudden I got it.
Yeah.
I never used to get it, but I got it. So my taste is pretty diverse, really. But I don't listen to new pop that much.
Do you think you lived through the best years of music?
I think probably the best years of pop, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, everything now, I mean, there's once in a while there's the standouts, but everything is very derivative. To me, I guess that's why it's good, but it's nothing new and nothing that I haven't heard before. Just
yeah.
So it's sort of it's put bread and butter on my table, but I mean, I came from the punk days. All the music that I listened to was the most amazing pop in the 60s and early 70s. And yeah, I mean, it's all derivative pretty much. I mean, some of it's good, like definitely good, but nothing new.
And back sort of in the days, as it were, sort of the drug scene was much more sort of accepted in the music industry, as it were. Do you think that it's still got a part to play in music?
The what?
Today, the drug scene, just music and drugs and whole...
Oh, I don't know, because I've been sober for over 8 years now.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It was definitely part of the, very much a part of the 80s and 90s. And from what I hear now, the culture these days, but I never see it, so I don't know. I don't know.
Has it always been important for you to do well in the UK?
I don't, I don't really, at this point in my career, I don't think like that. I just don't. I think, and
Or
I'm
to
lucky.
be respected, then maybe is a better way
Well,
of putting it.
I think in general, it's not much nicer to be respected and than not. And I think at this point, since I've been around for so long, I mean, whereas I used to be written off a lot of times as like a frivolous piece of fluff, that people now being around and doing this for 38 years, I'm obviously not, and I obviously do have a brain, and and that people, I think there's a lot more respect now than there was even like 10 years ago. I think it changed about 10 years ago. I don't know why. I think with the French album too, all of a sudden like, ooh, she can actually, sing in a different language, so she must have a brain, and who else would do something like that? So, yeah, it's nice. It's nice that people actually. Well, of course, anybody would say it's much nicer if people respect you than not.
Yeah. I mean, what about the Playboy shoot and that? Is that something that you still, you're very happy you did?
Yeah, the results were a bit overly airbrushed, and I remember it was funny because in the issue, they have letters to the editor, and then somebody wrote in, and I thought that was really funny and true. I bought this magazine hoping to see pictures of a beautiful woman, and all I got was a character out of Shrek. And I thought that was really funny. I thought, that's kind of right on. But I'm glad I did. I have no regrets about that. At that time, it made sense. Not very many women were. There had been a few that had done Playboy before. I just over 40. So I asked my mom, and she said it was okay. So I went ahead and did it.
Brilliant. And have you got what advice would you have to an all-girl band these days, just sort of starting out in the industry?
I don't know. Well, I always say to any young musician, don't do drugs. That's like number one. But I think to anybody, male or female, is to be true to yourself. And I think as far as a female band, maybe to think in terms of being genderless rather than male-female.
Yeah, no, very true. And your view of the music industry these days, and how's it changed, and where do you think it's going? Sort of downloads, the internet age.
Well, I don't think creatively it's as exciting as it used to be. Music used to be a lot more organic, and record companies used to develop young artists and artistry and nurture them and give them creative direction. And now a lot of it's about marketing, so it's it's not great. But and as far as downloading, of course, it's impacted negatively on songwriters and on artists and everything. But at the same time, there's something kind of great about it. Being able to pick and choose tracks and not have to listen to filler. I mean, I think it's changing so fast that it might be different 5 years from now. It might be that record companies go back to the way it used to be, and people start buying vinyl again. Who knows? It's hard to even predict these days.
It's coming back a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
On a personal note, so have you found peace in Buddhism?
Well, I think not. Well, I mean, it's definitely a great tool, chanting, and I still chant all the time. But I think for me, and I never thought I would say this, it's really important to have a spiritual base to live my life from. And I think I can't imagine it any other way. So I think with the first step with the Buddhism, and I'm really heavy into yoga, that it all kind of works together to give that really strong foundation to work from and to live from. It's important.
Great. What's the future hold for Go-Go's and Belinda Carlisle as you see it now then?
Well, you know, busy until the end of the year with lots of dates all over the world, and with the Go-Go's and on my own. And I might record, I might not. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I kind of take it as it comes, but I don't have any, you know, big like grand plans. I mean, there's like little projects that I have am involved in, but I don't know. I just kind of take it as it comes.
Great stuff. Well, thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks.
If you had to pick 3 songs, lastly, spanning your whole career that you'd say sort of sum you up as a musician, as a person, what 3 would you pick?
Of my catalog,
of everything.
I would say probably Our Lips Are Sealed, probably Mad About You, and probably Heaven.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to say to Music News watchers?
I hope you enjoy my new best of and my new single, Sin.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot for your time. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Superb.